All right, here we go, everyone. Today, we're going to learn how to jibe.
So first of all, what is a jibe? So a jibe is when the board passes through a 180-degree turn through the water. So you're going in one direction, you bear downwind, turning the board and pointing the board into the other direction, and you ride away in the other direction.
So the jibe is going to probably be the first turn you execute with the Parawing. It's the easiest turn to do, but unlike the wing, it's a little bit tricky because you have to manage your line tensions really well. So what we're going to start thinking about now is what happens when you pull the bar down and pull the bar up. So let's start thinking about bar input and the effect that has on the Parawing, okay? So if I pull the bar up, just on the top there, the Parawing will go up. But what it will do as well, it will accelerate. So if you look at the Parawing, it'll gain speed. It will allow the Parawing to fly quicker. Contrary to that, if I pull the bar down, we know that the Parawing comes down and has a lot of power, and it will act as a brake. So when we are doing a jibe, what we need to do is think about a car approaching a bend, right? So I'm approaching a bend, I'm holding the bar at the top of the bar, but I need to do a turn. So what a car does before the turn, it hits the brakes, doesn't it? Hits the brakes and the Parawing comes down. And as soon as the Parawing is down, in the middle of the window, it has the most amount of power. So what we will do is before we turn, we bring the Parawing down, and I'm walking downwind now, simulating that jibe. And then when I'm ready to turn back to my other side, I'll let it accelerate, and that will shoot the Parawing into the right side, to the other side. All right, so let's think about that concept a little bit. If I don't hit the brakes and hold the Parawing down where the power is, and I leave it up, it'll want to accelerate, number one, but it's accelerating in the wrong direction and accelerating behind me. And then what happens? It'll stall and it'll fall. Also, what happens is if you're riding crosswind, right? Bang, 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 bang. And then you want to go downwind and the wind is 20 knots. All of a sudden, if I start riding downwind at 10 knots, 20 minus 10 is 10 knots, right? So the only wind on the Parawing is now 10 knots. And then I go downwind and boom, I wear the Parawing. And that has happened to all of us. And it sucks because it creates a lot of tangles on the lines. And it's probably one of the worst feelings ever to get caught in the lines. So we need to keep the Parawing flying. And there are other ways to do that. There's the tack where you go upwind. So there's no problem there. You want the Parawing to stay at 12 and accelerating because you want it to accelerate upwind, and that's an upwind turn. And then you also have something like the kite loop, that you can do a kite loop and then hold it. So you're making the Parawing fly. So you create apparent wind and you keep tension on the lines, and that's what you're doing when you do those kind of things. So let's practice this, okay? Both ways. You want to be riding the Parawing. You want to hold it in the middle of the window, twist it to the other way, ride away. And when you do that turn, walk downwind on the sand. If you have a skateboard or anything like that, those things help you a lot with this technique. You can practice on the skateboard. A lot of people are doing that with great success. So let's do that in the water now, and we'll show you how that works. All right, there's good wind today, so we're around 18 knots right now. I've got some big gear on because I don't want to keep falling in this cold water. But all we're gonna do today is simulate the jibes. Let's get those jibes right, guys. Once the jibes are done, oh my God, like you'll have a session. You'll go back and forth. It'll feel like you're in the flow, and you'll be riding 90% of the time that you're on the Parawing, right? You're not gonna be falling, turning around, trying to get up. So let's get up and we'll go through the motion again, and hopefully we can get some good jibes for y'all. The first thing that we're going to simulate is just going from the position of holding the bar at the top of the bar to that position where we're going to make the parawing break from this to this. Notice what it does to your speed. Now go back. Notice what it does to your upwind angle. So practice that. So you're riding, you want to point downwind and do this progressively, yeah? And now you're really almost riding downwind. All you need to do here is swap your hands and finish the turn. But we're going to keep going and then go back upwind. Try this going toe side first or heel side first, and then swap around. You need to be able to do this going both ways. Now let's practice this going heel side. And you're just riding upwind, going heel side. You're going to bear downwind. And hold the parawing down. You see you're going to lose a little bit of speed. But that's okay. You want to control the parawing there as much as you can. All right, I'm losing power. Let's go. Let it accelerate out of the turn. And what you'll notice you're going to have to hold the bar towards the middle of the bar for this, okay? Not all the way at the top, otherwise you're not going to be able to stall it. And I'm also doing this with one hand, which doesn't make it easier, but find that point where you can park it. See? I'm parking it. Going a little bit downwind, let it accelerate. You don't want to lose too much power. Cool. Practice that just for a little bit, just so you get a sense of what it does. 2 hands on the oar. You're going to go downwind and rake. Look at that. Swap hands, accelerate out. Okay? Let's do that again. 2 hands. I'm going to go downwind and rake. See, too much. Lost a lot of power there. And then right out. So you notice on that one I went downwind and I gained a lot of speed. So even though the parawing was right in the power zone, it kind of canceled the wind that we have. So we have to be mindful of what going downwind will do with the slack of the lines. Okay? Let's keep practicing. You're riding. You're going to hit the brakes. Swap hands. Right out. Yep. That was a good one. You're riding. Hit the brakes, swap hands, right out. Riding, hit the brakes, swap hands, right out. Riding, hold the hand a little bit lower, hit the brakes, swap hands. And you see what I did there? Notice that I went downwind too much on that one. So when I saw the parawing kind of stalling, I pull the lines and I create tension on the line so it flies. You are in charge, not the parawing. So if it's not flying, give it a little tug, you know? Ask for power if you need it. Riding. Bring it down. Swap hands. Right out. Hit the brakes, Swap hands. What? And let it ride. Let it slide. Another thing to be aware of is pick your moments, you know? Look for the surface of the water. Look for that gust. There's one here, so use it. And here, I'm in the wind shadow, so I'm pumping. I'm doing the same movement, but I'm pumping while I'm doing it. If there's no wind, sometimes you have to pump your way around the turn. Yeah? So now the wind has, you know, dropped a little bit, so let's practice it with a little bit less wind, see what happens. Hit the brakes, I'm pumping, trot, and go. There's a little bit of a lull. Hit the brakes, pump, swap hands, and pump out. Accelerate, right? You go from brake to release. You release that front edge, let it fly, let it breathe. If you keep riding the Parawing with your hand a little bit to the middle of the bar, you'll see that, look at this angle. I have to go downwind, it doesn't fly upwind. But when I release it, wow, look at that. Completely change the angle, and I'm able to ride upwind because I'm letting the Parawing breathe. So that's how you want to come out of the turn, letting it breathe. All right, so let's remember here, okay? We will be riding. We're gonna park it downwind. You see how it went to the back of the window there? It's not flying in front of the window anymore. It goes down, and you're going downwind here. And then you turn it, and you're off and riding.